Welcome, race fans! Toros Squad Racing is back, and we've officially reached the halfway point of Season 1. 6 rounds completed, 6 remaining, and tonight we head to Australia for Round 7 at Oran Park. Short, fast, tight, and absolutely no room for mistakes. And after Round 6, we have a new championship leader. Ben takes the top spot with 296 points, but Carlos is only 19 points behind. And right behind Carlos, Andrew, just 1 point back. 4 victories in 6 races, and suddenly we've got a 3-way fight for this championship. And that's what makes tonight so interesting. Ben has the championship lead, Carlos has been incredibly consistent with 5 podiums, and Andrew has the victories. But while those 3 fight, keep an eye on Joao. He's 4th with 2 podiums and continues to get stronger every round. And then there's Misael, currently 5th and still searching for that first podium. Could Oran Park finally be his night? And we're only halfway through the season! So to Zhao Wen, Hayden, and everyone else who's registered but watching from the sidelines, come on, guys! Forget about the points. There are still 6 races remaining. Get that GT3 on the grid and become part of the fight. Because a short circuit like Oran Park with more cars, that's exactly the kind of controlled chaos we want. And let's not forget the drivers we're missing. Paul, Alberto, and Philippe, we hope to see you back on the grid soon. There's still plenty of racing left and plenty of opportunities to shake up this championship. Tonight's broadcast is proudly sponsored by Toros Squad Racing and mfloresracing.club, following Misael and the NASCAR journey of the number 27 machine. Oran Park is ready. The championship couldn't be closer. Ben is defending. Carlos is hunting. Andrew is charging. And everyone behind them is looking for an opportunity. And now it's time to hand things over to the voices of tonight's race, Dex and Al. They'll bring you every battle, every overtake, and every moment of chaos from Round 7. Gentlemen, the microphones are yours. Let's go racing at Oran Park!
Enjoying the race? Hit the like button and subscribe to support the channel. It helps us bring you more live GT3 action, endurance races, and AI-powered commentary with Dex and Al. Thanks for being part of the community. Today's broadcast is proudly supported by Toro Squad Racing and M. Flores Racing number 27. Their support helps us bring you live racing, AI-powered commentary, and an even better race day experience. Be sure to check out their links in the video description and support the people who make this broadcast possible. If you're enjoying the stream and would like to help us grow, leave a comment and let us know you'd like to support our videos or become a future partner. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you for supporting the partners who support our racing community.
6.373. 6.656. Point 2, 4, 5. One lap to green. Line up on the right side. Everyone's gridded. Pit road is closed. One lap to green. Catch the 77 car. About to go green, stay focused.
We are at Oran GP, track temperature 21 degrees Celsius, air temperature 19 degrees Celsius, no rain reported.
It's Dex, and yes, I've brought the sarcasm and at least 3 bad racing cars. Al, meanwhile, gotcha. That's one less car to worry about, until the next corner.
Position gained. Carlos is now P4.
And we're racing again. Time to make every corner count.
It's green. P2 is 0.3 seconds up the road from Carlos. Carlos has 1.2 seconds in hand over P5.
One more lap done, and the car is still pretending everything is under control.
End of lap 1. Carlos currently holds P4. Across the line, it is Andrew from Ben and Robert. Looking at the cars around Carlos, the margin to P3 ahead is 0.6 seconds. The pressure from behind is easing, the gap is now 1.6 seconds.
Boom. Somebody just found a door that wasn't supposed to be open.
Position gained. Carlos is now P3.
One more lap done, and the rear tires are reconsidering their existence.
Lap 2 is complete. Carlos crosses the line in P3. Across the line, it is Andrew from Robert and Carlos. P2 is 1.0 seconds up the road from Carlos. The car behind, P4, trails by 1.9 seconds. Dex, surprise the audience with a fact, story, or questionable insight.
One legendary radio call came from Ferrari. Fernando is faster than you. Felipe Massa replied by moving over, but motorsport fans have never stopped talking about that moment.
That was random, Dex. Exactly as predicted.
That lap looked expensive.
Lap 3 is complete. Carlos currently holds P3.
Just set the fastest lap. 4.146. Right side.
Carlos is
Clever. They didn't force the pass, they simply made it inevitable.
Clear on the right.
position gained. Carlos is now P2.
Tough one there, mate, but the race is far from over.
Position lost. Carlos is now P3.
Another lap completed. The race pace is good, the emotional stability less impressive.
That completes lap 4. Carlos currently holds P3. Here is the gap picture. P2 is 0.6 seconds up the road from Carlos. The car behind, P4, trails by 2.7 seconds.
That curb launched the car directly into poor decision making.
That incident added 1 incident point. The total is now 2.
End of the lap and not a single track limit warning. Who are we? Al, check for identity theft.
Lap 5 is complete. Carlos crosses the line in P3. Andrew leads the race, with Robert second and Carlos third.
The car behind has gone off.
Here is the gap picture. Carlos has lost a little ground ahead, the gap is 1.8 seconds. Carlos has increased the gap to P4, it is now 3.4 seconds.
This race coverage is brought to you by Velocity Sim Gear, precision built for serious racers. That lap.
Lap 6 is complete.
4.87.
Carlos currently holds P3.
2, just set the fastest lap. 3.674.
Robert has set the fastest lap of the race at 1:03.674. P2 has edged away to 2.9 seconds. The pressure from behind is easing, the gap is now 4.4 seconds.
Car 18 is driving with the energy of somebody who definitely said, watch this before the race started.
The leader.
Sweet. That was less of an overtake and more of a polite eviction.
Position gained. Carlos is now P2.
The brake discs are currently glowing with disappointment.
5.1.
Lap 7 is complete.
Nice and smooth, you're running
Carlos
second.
crosses the line in P2. Robert leads the race, with Carlos second and Ben third. P1 is 3.7 seconds up the road from Carlos. Carlos has 3.7 seconds in hand over P3.
1X, the car briefly identified as an off-road vehicle.
That incident added 1 incident point, the total is now 3. Dex, choose a random subject and try to make it sound important.
Car 4 just attacked that curb like it personally insulted him earlier today.
An impressive combination of confidence and randomness.
1X, that excursion looked very adventurous for absolutely no reason.
That incident added 1 incident point, the total is now 4.
And there's the lap done.
End of lap 8. Carlos crosses the line in P2. Here is the gap picture. The gap to P1 has increased, Carlos is now 3.9 seconds behind. The margin back to P3 remains steady at 3.6 seconds.
This racing action is brought to you by Iron Wolf Tools, trusted by mechanics worldwide. Lap complete. Smooth, clean, and shockingly legal. Al, mark it down. This might be history.
That completes lap 9. Carlos is running P2. Here is the gap picture. Carlos is closing on P1, down to 3.0 seconds. The margin back to P3 remains steady at 3.8 seconds.
Find us a driver whose telemetry has something interesting to say. Driver.
Let's look at Andrew, car number 4. Andrew started in P1 and is currently running P5, losing 4 positions. Andrew's last lap is about 0.5 seconds slower than the fastest lap of the race.
This race has been handing out problems like free samples. Brutal. That was the kind of lap that makes engineers nervous and spectators happy.
That completes lap 10. Carlos is running P2. The current top 3 are Robert, Carlos, and Ben. Here is the gap picture. Carlos has reduced the gap to P1, it is now 2.6 seconds. The pressure from behind is easing, the gap is now 4.2 seconds.
Tonight's race weekend is proudly presented by Vertex Racing Components. That lap looked fast, dramatic, and mildly illegal in at least 2 corners.
End of lap 11. Carlos crosses the line in P2. Carlos has lost a little ground ahead, the gap is 3.5 seconds. No major change behind, the gap is still 4.4 seconds.
Car 10 is driving like tire degradation is somebody else's problem. Car 11 is making that car very, very, very wide right now, aerodynamically and emotionally.
You have about 5 laps of fuel left.
We made it to the line again. Al, confirm I'm still a racing driver and not just sightseeing.
Lap 12 is complete. Carlos currently holds P2. Here is the gap picture. The gap to P1 has increased. Carlos is now 3.9 seconds behind. The margin back to P3 remains steady at 4.2 seconds.
In endurance racing, there's an old saying, you don't win Le Mans in the first hour, but you can certainly lose it. Cross the line, still facing forward, I'll take it. Al, tell me someone else did worse.
Lap 13 is complete. Carlos crosses the line in P2. Looking at the cars around Carlos. The gap to P1 has increased. Carlos is now 4.1 seconds behind. Carlos is pulling clear of P3, with the margin up to 5.1 seconds. Dex, I predict your next comment will be completely random. Prove me right.
Car 16 clearly believes braking is more of a recommendation than a requirement.
Thank you, Dex. Relevance was optional and you respected that.
Which usually means it was quick.
Lap 14 is complete. Carlos crosses the line in P2. Here is the gap picture. Carlos has lost a little ground ahead, the gap is 5.3 seconds. Carlos is holding the gap behind at 4.9 seconds.
Al, which driver is currently making everyone ahead check their mirrors?
2 laps of fuel left.
Robert, car number 83 is the biggest climber so far. Robert started in P3 and is now running P1, gaining 2 positions.
Proper, no unnecessary drama, just a genuinely impressive performance. One more lap in the books and somehow nobody exploded.
End of lap 15. Carlos currently holds P2. The current top 3 are Robert, Carlos, and Ben. Here is the gap picture. Carlos has lost a little ground ahead, the gap is 5.8 seconds. The pressure from behind is easing, the gap is now 5.2 seconds.
Tonight's broadcast is proudly sponsored by Apex Racing Fuel, engineered for drivers who refuse to live.
You have about 1 lap of fuel left.
Another lap completed. The race pace is good, the emotional stability, less impressive.
Lap 16 is complete. Carlos crosses the line in P2.
Pit boxing.
That's the problem with defending for too long. Eventually, the tires start writing resignation letters.
Position lost.
2.
Carlos is now P3.
Right here.
You can almost hear the frustration in the cockpit after that one.
Position lost. Carlos is now P4.
All clear. Punch it.
That was always going to be classy. No contact, no drama. Just good old-fashioned racecraft.
Position gained. Carlos is now P4. Here is the gap picture. The margin to P3 ahead is 21.9 seconds. The car behind, P5, trails by 5.8 seconds.
Al, who has been flying out there according to the numbers.
The fastest driver so far is Ben, car number 77, with a best lap of 1:04.433.
42.
Beautiful.
9.
Speed.
7.
Consistency. That was smoother than most people's life decisions. Another lap done.
Lap 17 is complete. Carlos is running P4. At the front, Robert leads Ben and Joe out.
Fitting now.
The gap ahead is stable at 22.0 seconds. The car behind is applying pressure, the margin is down to 4.4 seconds.
3.
This endurance battle is proudly sponsored by Hyperdrive Performance Parts. One more lap in the books. Al, hit me with the truth. Are we actually improving?
End of lap 18.
Sharp, one moment they were behind. Now they're somebody else's problem.
Big gain. Carlos jumped from P4 to P2. The margin to P1 ahead is 20.7 seconds. P3 is 3.5 seconds behind Carlos.
1x, that was racing line and more tourism package.
That incident added 1 incident point. The total is now 5.
The car in front is pitting.
Joao has entered pit lane from P1.
Car 1 has taken the lead.
And there's the lap done.
End of lap 19. Carlos is running P2. At the front.
Whoa, that position changed hands quicker than free pizza in the paddock.
Position gained. Carlos is now P1. The car behind, P2, trails by 2.8 seconds. Dex, the humans require entertainment. Offer them something unexpected.
Formula One teams have hundreds of sensors on the car. Drivers still get on the radio and say, "Something feels funny." Very scientific.
That explained nothing about the race, which was the assignment.
That was the kind of lap that makes engineers nervous and spectators happy.
Lap 20 is complete. Carlos currently holds P1. At the front, Carlos leads Andrew and Ben. Here is the gap picture. P2 is closing from behind, now 2.6 seconds back.
Kimi Räikkönen once got lost during the Brazilian Grand Prix after taking an escape road. Even Formula One world champions occasionally need better directions.
Fueling up now should get us to the finish.
The quickest racers always look effortless, which is deeply annoying for everyone else. That looked tidy, aggressive.
That completes lap 21. Carlos is running P1. Looking at the cars around Carlos. No major change behind, the gap is still 2.4 seconds.
This race weekend is proudly presented by Horizon Racing Seats, comfort under pressure. Today's broadcast is sponsored by Apex Data Systems because every tenth matters. Progress.
That completes lap 22. Carlos is running P1. Here is the gap picture. The car behind is applying pressure, the margin is down to 2.1 seconds.
Al, I think drivers secretly enjoy suffering. There's no other explanation for willingly racing in the rain. That move had confidence, commitment, and just enough danger to make engineers nervous. And remember, everyone, racing drivers don't grow old emotionally. They just develop more expensive hobbies. Lap complete, smooth, clean, and shockingly legal. Al, mark it down. This might be history.
Lap 23 is complete. Carlos currently holds P1. Here is the gap picture. P2 has reduced the gap to Carlos, it is now 0.9 seconds.
Here's a classic. Nigel Mansell was leading the 1986 Australian Grand Prix and only needed a safe finish to win the World Championship. Then his tire exploded. Just like that, the title was gone.
An impressive combination of confidence and randomness.
4.9.
There's an old paddock joke that every racing driver believes they're underpaid and every team boss believes they're overpaid, and just sarcastic enough toward physics.
End of lap 24. Carlos crosses the line in P1. Here is the gap picture. The car behind is applying pressure, the margin is down to 0.3 seconds.
The engineer is happy, probably temporarily.
4.8.
That completes lap 25. Carlos crosses the line in P1. Across the line, it is Carlos from Andrew and Ben. Looking at the cars around Carlos. No major change behind, the gap is still 0.3 seconds.
Pick a car from the field and give us the story behind the numbers.
Let's look at Joao, car number 1. Joao started in P5 and is currently running P4, gaining 1 position. Joao's last lap is about 2.2 seconds slower than the fastest lap of the race.
0.98.
Right, that gives us something to watch as the next few laps unfold. One more lap complete, and somehow the track limits still survived.
Lap 26 is complete. Carlos is running P1. Looking at the cars around Carlos. The margin back to P2 remains steady at 0.5 seconds.
Podium is looking good.
Confidence increasing, grip decreasing.
5.40.
That completes lap 27. Carlos currently holds P1. Looking at the cars around Carlos. P2 is closing from behind, now 0.3 seconds back.
At Spa, drivers often joke that you need 2 setup sheets, one for sunshine, and another for the rain that arrives 5 minutes later.
That explained nothing about the race, which was the assignment.
You've got about 5 laps of fuel.
The best drivers brake with confidence. The rest of us brake with prayers. That was either precision driving.
Lap 28 is complete. Carlos is running P1. Carlos is holding the gap behind at 0.2 seconds.
Professional drivers are unbelievably smooth on the steering wheel. Meanwhile, most sim racers fight the wheel like they're wrestling a crocodile. One more lap done, and the rear tires are reconsidering their existence.
5.9.
Lap 29 is complete. Carlos currently holds P1. Carlos has increased the gap to P2, it is now 0.6 seconds.
Driver Spotlight 03 Al, who should we be watching right now?
Let's look at Andrew, car number 4. Andrew started in P1 and is currently running P2, losing 1 position. Andrew's last lap is about 2.5 seconds slower than the fastest lap of the race.
That is where things stand for now.
2,
And that's another lap completed, somehow with the car still in one piece. Another lap down, and the tires are now officially filing complaints.
End of lap 30. Carlos crosses the line in P1. Across the line, it is Carlos from Andrew and Ben. Looking at the cars around Carlos. Carlos has increased the gap to P2, it is now 6.7 seconds.
That looked like GPS recalculating in real time.
That incident added 1 incident point, the total is now 6.
Had enough curb usage to qualify as off-road driving.
That completes lap 31. Carlos crosses the line in P1. Carlos leads the race, with Ben second and Joe out third. Here is the gap picture. The pressure from behind is easing, the gap is now 7.4 seconds.
GT3 drivers are incredible. They can drive side by side at 250 kilometers an hour, then completely fail parking at the supermarket. Professional drivers don't just react to slides, they expect them before they happen.
Valuable is a strong word, but the anecdote was entertaining.
Car 19 had a little slide there, nothing major, just enough to increase heart rate dramatically. That was a proper racing lap. Aggressive, fast, and emotionally unstable.
Lap 32 is complete. Carlos crosses the line in P1. The pressure from behind is easing. The gap is now 8.0 seconds.
Professional racers rarely waste movement. Every steering input is calculated, smooth, and annoyingly efficient. That overtake attempt had optimism levels normally reserved for lottery tickets. Lap complete. The tires would like a short break and possibly therapy. Another lap down and the fuel calculator is starting to sweat.
Lap 33 is complete. Carlos currently holds P1.
You held that position for ages. Eventually, the attacking pace was just too strong.
Position lost. Carlos is now P2.
That's it, go!
Today's endurance action is proudly supported by Titan brake systems, stopping power when it matters most. This live event is sponsored by Falcon Motorsport Apparel, race-inspired, driver-approved. Tonight's stream is brought to you by Nitro Energy Drink. Stay sharp, stay fast.
Here is the gap picture. The margin to P1 ahead is 22.6 seconds. The car behind, P3, trails by 7.6 seconds.
The leader is running 5.461. Car 77 has taken the lead.
Dex, let us calculate the odds that your next comment is useful. Go ahead.
Every endurance race eventually reaches the point where drivers stop fighting rivals and start fighting exhaustion. Al, if you had access to every racing replay on Earth, how disappointed would you be in humanity?
The audience has now been entertained, confused, or both.
Another lap down and we haven't caught fire yet. Al, run a confidence check, please.
That completes lap 34. Carlos is running P2. At the front, Ben leads Carlos and Joel. Here is the gap picture. Carlos is holding the gap to P1 at 22.5 seconds. Carlos is pulling clear of P3, with the margin up to 8.0 seconds.
(1x), the tires just visited a completely different ecosystem.
White flag.
That incident added 1 incident point. The total is now 7.
That lap was fast enough to impress people and dangerous enough to concern mechanics.
That completes lap 35. Carlos is running P2. At the front, Ben leads Carlos and Joel. Looking at the cars around Carlos. Carlos has reduced the gap to P1, it is now 22.0 seconds. Carlos has increased the gap to P3, it is now 8.8 seconds.
1x, that's one way to increase track knowledge.
That incident added 1 incident point, the total is now 8.
You've got about 2 laps of fuel left.
We laughed, we screamed, we questioned life choices, and now it's time to log off. Al, give us the podium legends.
Nice run. Solid.
Carlos finished the race in P2. The podium is P1 Ben, P2 Carlos, and P3 Joao.